Okay. So, Peach, before you start, here's the situation. I don't know this lady. She doesn't know me. This is such a God thing. And she was about to tell me the story of why it's a God thing. And I said, stop. We're going to hear it live. She was not ever going to be here today, is all I can say. Okay,
Right.
so it took for the bus to break down for whatever we're about to hear. And it could be anything. She could even be a troll. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Oh, you can rest assured I'm not.
Okay, I don't know you, but I do know your husband has fixed this bus, and for that
Right.
we are so grateful. It is
know.
unbelievable. And these people here that are watching you now, they prayed so big for this bus to be fixed.
I love that.
All right, so what happened? Why are you here?
Well, I knew you guys were coming. I've been watching your movement all
Right.
along. And, you know, we were here when we brought the movie to Northwest Arkansas. And so my friends had asked me if I could come and be a part of it, if I could come help, whatever it was. And my husband happened to be traveling, and I was like, oh, there's no way I'm going to be home with all the babies, with all the kids. Like, I can't. There's no way. And
She had no intention of being here today.
no, I mean, and I was actually kind of disappointed, you know, like I was like, God, I really want to be a part of this. Like, this is my thing, God.
You
Like,
actually said that?
Yeah,
And
like,
our
I
boss
was-
had to break down for that. Right. The answer.
I was like, you know, wrestling with God. Like, I really wanted to be a part of here, but I'm looking at the dates. I knew my husband wasn't going to be here. I didn't have peace about, like, hunting down a babysitter or dragging my 10-month-old and my 3-year-old and all my kids here. So I was like, I can't. So I told, you know, the friends that are help facilitating things, you know, like Eva and Kelly, I'm like, I really can't. I'm really sorry. I really want to be a part, but I can't. It's not okay. It's not going to work out. And so I was super, super disappointed and sad about that. It turns out my husband drove 25 hours straight and ended up home by 4 o'clock in the morning. So
He's only been at home since 4 o'clock. So has
Right.
he had any sleep?
a little bit. He had a couple hours.
Bless him.
Right. And so he got home at 4 o'clock this morning, and but you know, I wasn't gonna like wake him up and be, you know, even though he got home sooner, and you know, but I knew this was going on, and I was praying for you guys while you guys were here. I was praying for the parents that were sharing their stories. I was just praying that the weather might be a little more cooperative, etc. And then I saw the post of can anybody fix a generator? And
Did someone put that post out?
yes, my friend Kelly that was just in here.
Oh,
And-
she put it out on
Yes.
Facebook or something?
Yes. And then she also messaged me and she said, hey, do you know anybody who can fix a generator? And I was like, I don't know. Hang on just a second. So I went upstairs. I'm like, honey, wake up.
Oh, bless her.
I'm like, and my husband is a mechanic, and there's absolutely nothing there's nothing he can't do. I mean, and he's really never let me down. I'm like, wake up, honey. I need your help. And so I said, the Vaxxed bus is in town, you know, do you think you could go look at it for me? And he was like, sure, and jumped in the shower.
Oh.
We loaded up all of our kids, drove over here, and the whole time I was thinking, please be something that he can fix, you know, like I would love to be able to help you guys out. And then I was thinking, like, God, for real? Like, here I wanted to be a part of this. I wanted to come, and I wanted to maybe even share my story. Who knows? But mostly I was going to, like, maybe help work the merchandise, whatever. And so here we are.
And you were meant to tell us. So here's the thing. Our generator was working fine because Magic Mike fixed it in Austin. We pull up here and it died.
Right.
And it literally not just died a little, completely died.
Yeah.
The first mechanic that came out said, it's dead.
Right.
And then you come out. So you know when you do those, like, oh God, I really want to be there.
I know.
Okay, he heard you.
Right. And I think that there's so much, like, spiritually there's so much to that, because I really felt like even though my selfishness wanted to do everything I could to be here, I was really listening to God, and I really felt like, okay, it's just not going to work, and I'm just not going to be able to get to go. And then, you know, all this. It's crazy, and it's
You
a
see,
total God thing.
Pip, so this lovely lady, who we're about to even find out her name, wanted to tell you that story. She was just going to tell me, and I said, no. I think the peeps would love to hear it. So we have titled this story "The RV Mechanic's Wife,"
Right.
which we thought was quite funny.
Yeah, I like being known as the RV mechanic's wife.
But you do
He's pretty
have
hot.
a story, so we
I
are
do.
going to go ahead.
I'm a mom of 6 children. My oldest is 16, and the baby is 10 months old. You know, and I almost didn't want to share my story. Like, I was going to work. You know, if I could come, I was going to work, because I feel like maybe my short story isn't as drastic, you know, and there's so many people whose children are still struggling. I mean, just like Kelly in her story said, you know, she's only heard her baby tell her he loves her twice. Like, you know, it's so big.
Okay, let's ask you a few questions like we do with everybody.
I was gonna say I was hesitant to tell my story because maybe it's not as good. You know,
You're
or,
meant
you know,
to.
drastic.
no
Right.
coincidence that you're sitting here right now.
Right.
So you have 6 children.
I have 6 children. I'm a mom of 6 children.
You give birth to 6 children.
I gave birth to 6 children.
And you have the same father with your 6 children?
No, I was married, my first 3 children, and then divorced, and I'm remarried and have 3 children with the RV mender.
With the RV mechanic, the mender.
Right. And clearly you can see why, because he's kind of an awesome
Yeah, I
guy.
haven't actually. I just saw a glimpse of him, but he is just wonderful. He won't take any money, but he has to take a Peep sweatshirt or something.
Right.
Something has to happen here. Okay, so the first thing I want to establish is do you have children that are injured amongst your 6 children?
Yes, my oldest. She's 16 and a half.
Do you have any unvaccinated children?
All the rest of them.
So you have 1 child that's vaccinated and injured.
Correct.
And 5 that are unvaccinated.
That's right.
Do they have anything wrong with them?
No.
Do you not realise how important the story is? So important.
Maybe not. Maybe. Yeah.
Yes, this is a hugely important
I know.
story.
When I think about that, when I look at the health of my 5 children compared to the health of my oldest daughter, it's huge. I mean, it does like always kind of take me back. I'm like, my 5 children who are not vaccinated have almost never been to the doctor. In fact, of the 5 of them, only 2 have actually been to the doctor. The other ones have never even been to a doctor, ever. Like, there's no they've never had a reason. They've never had an ear infection. They've never been sick.
Do you hear that? No ear infections.
Right.
Okay, so let's go slow on this a little bit. Let's go back a bit. Now, because one of the things that they would definitely, if there's any trolls around, I don't know if there's any today, but hello trolls, what they would want to say is you're an anti-vaccine crazy crackpot nutbag.
Right.
Now,
Right.
when you were pregnant with your first child, would that have been a correct statement for you back then?
No, absolutely not. I'm definitely an ex-vaccinator. Absolutely. I mean, I trusted all the authorities. I trusted the doctors. I felt like, of course, they would know more than I did. That's why they're doctors. That's why we have them. You know.
Did you know anybody that didn't vaccinate? What do you think of people who didn't?
I didn't. I don't. And if I did know anyone, I'm pretty sure they were crazy. In my mind, they were crazy. If I knew anyone, I can't think of anyone just off the top of my head, but if I did know them, they were crazy. They were crazy, like, you know, home birthers and homeschoolers, which I happen to be now. But you know, they were definitely those crazy people.
So, was it a girl or a boy, your first child?
My oldest is a girl.
And were you vaccinated with her while you were pregnant?
I don't believe so. I'm pretty sure that I did not receive any vaccines during my pregnancy. I think that was really before the push to vaccinate pregnant women. So, yeah, I wasn't vaccinated. I didn't receive any vaccines.
And when she was born, did you think, look at my beautiful, healthy child, or did you think, oh my gosh, there's something wrong with her?
She was absolutely perfect. She was perfect and she was beautiful.
And did she have Hep B, vitamin K?
She was vaccinated on schedule right away.
Okay, so you did everything your doctor told you to. At
Right.
what point did you realise that these vaccines are not safe and ineffective and this has been one big lie?
Yeah, it wasn't until she was very, very sick from vaccines and in her 2nd birthday. So she was vaccinated on schedule all the way up through her 6 months vaccines. And then I believe, and you know, like I said, I wasn't really prepared to share my story. I would have dug back and kind of dug through the resources, or dug through her vaccine record. Because at one point I had all of this down, but it's 16 and a half years. I made up my mind when she was 2 years old. So 14 years ago, I made up my mind that my children would never be vaccinated again. And I really haven't looked back. So the details might be a little fuzzy, but
Sure.
she was vaccinated on schedule. She was being cared for by my mother-in-law, so she didn't have to go to a daycare, but she was always very sick from the very beginning with, you know, ear infections and colds and stomach, and you know, she was just very sick. Even though she was, you know, she gained weight and she looked very healthy, but she was very fussy. She was always she cried and cried and cried and cried. She cried. You couldn't go anywhere. Like, we would fight over who had to go places with her in the car because it was so miserable to go places with her because you were stuck listening to a screaming baby. And she, you know, she didn't sleep well, and you know, and I thought she was my first child and I was young. I thought this is just what babies do. You know, I had no idea that there was anything different. Anyways, I decided I wanted to put her into a daycare when she was about a year old, a little over a year old, but I knew that we hadn't got her 12-month vaccine. So I took her in because everybody knows you can't go to a daycare without vaccines, or school. You just know that in the United States, that it's like the law or something. You have, you know, people don't realize that you do have a choice, you know, that's never told to anyone. You're never told that you have a choice. So I took her in, and they said, oh, she's a little behind, so we're going to catch her up. And I just looked at them and smiled and said, okay, like, clearly you know what you're doing. I trust you, and I didn't realize that she had been so sick because of the vaccines up until that point. So they gave her the vaccines, and they actually gave her a couple more than just her 12-month vaccines. And she instantly was so sick that she never even got to be put into daycare. She got so sick, and I still didn't recognize that that's what it was. I still had no idea. I can still see her. She was laying on the floor, pale, at home, with red little cheeks, and just so sick. And I had no idea that it was the vaccines. And I will never forget that, the picture of her just laying on the floor, so sick. And she had, eczema. She had all, I was like, and I started, putting emu oil on her. Like, then I started, being like, wow, what can I do for my baby who's so sick? We were constantly at the doctor, really, after that point. Up until that point, she had been a very fussy baby. But then after the catch her up, we were at the doctor every week. She never ever got better after that. I spent a year begging them to help me, but they would just give her another antibiotic because she had this chronic runny nose that they would change from Benadryl to a non-name brand Benadryl, and they so she was like high on Benadryl forever to try to get rid of the runny nose, and then it didn't work.
It's like addictive, that stuff.
Oh, it was horrible, and she just wasn't even, she didn't even really have a quality life. She was always on medicine. Yeah. And then the antibiotics, and it was just this vicious cycle in her poor little belly. And out of like pure desperation, I walked into a chiropractor. At this point, I had been traditional medicine because I knew nothing else, but I had been traditional medicine, but they weren't helping. And I could see that. We had spent a whole year from the, right up around her first birthday till her second birthday, sick, so sick. And I walked into a chiropractor, and I was just really hoping they could help me with her ear infections and her snotty nose, that she had a snotty nose every single day for a year. And the chiropractor asked me this really strange question. He said, would you mind bringing her vaccine record the next time you bring her? And I was like, okay, if you say so, like, whatever. I had no idea where he was going with that. And so he put together a plan where he would see her like 3 times a week. We came back, I gave him the vaccine record, still having no idea what he wanted. And he said, when did you say she got sick? And I told him that, about the time frame, and he pointed to her vaccine record, and he said, about this time? And I was like, yeah, like exactly that. That's exactly when she got sick. And he said, do you see all of these? And then he handed me these piles of books, and he said, I just want you to go home. He didn't even tell me what to do with it. He just said, I just want you to go read through this stuff. Of course, this is 14 years ago, and basically from that point on, I spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours just poring over it. And my children have never received another vaccine from that point. Excuse me. God bless you.
Let's talk about your other children.
Yes.
And first of all, I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
Are you afraid of measles, mumps, rubella?
No.
Are you afraid of these things?
No.
Are you afraid of the vaccines?
Yes.
So you're more afraid of the vaccines than you are of these childhood illnesses?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So.
And that's what it came down to after my hundreds of hours of research, and I just dug into every single one of those, communicable diseases, and I said, is this something that I have to be afraid of more so than the vaccine? And bottom line was, I was far more afraid of the irrevocable damages from the vaccine than I was of measles or mumps or rubella or chickenpox.
So have your children had chickenpox?
2 of them have.
Right.
2 of them have, thank goodness.
They didn't die.
Oh my gosh, it was easier than like a stomach bug. I mean, it wasn't fun, but I would do chickenpox before I did a stomach bug. They had about 12 hours of feeling kind of
itchy,
and it was a good case too, and I've got the poor little pictures of them in the oatmeal baths. But fortunately, along with doing all of this research, you also find what are the things that we can do for our children that help them, whether that's with herbs or, natural remedies. And there's so much out there.
It really is not that long ago that we took our kids to chickenpox parties.
Right.
It's really not that long ago. Don't forget that, people.
It's crazy to me that now people say chickenpox and they they go crazy. They're terrified. Like, when just my generation
Right.
got the chickenpox, and we shared them with each other.
It's not that long ago that Bella and Imogen Wakefield went out on the streets of Austin to the UT people asking, would you rather have measles or autism?
Right.
And they all said autism. They would rather have autism because they did not want to die of measles. I am wondering if we go out and ask that question again with chickenpox, what
Right.
the response will be, because it's
Right.
petrifying how fast these people are
Right.
brainwashed.
And I think, you met my friend Kelly. She was here before I was.
Yes.
Kelly and I met 13 years ago at church. And I think she kind of mentioned that she was always been scientifically driven. I think she thought I was a stark raving lunatic, because about 13 years ago, I was screaming from the top of my lungs, like, vaccines are hurting our children. Of course, I was the angry mom that was like, that had this baby who I had to get well. And I was angry because all the people that I had trusted, all the people that were supposed to have
Right.
the well-being of my child at the foremost of their career, like, they had hurt her. They had hurt my baby. And so I was very, very loud and that was 13 years ago. So I'm pretty sure Kelly thought I was crazy. She did think I was crazy.
Now, your children, how has their health been? Now, all kids get sick.
Right.
No one is saying that if you don't vaccinate,
Right.
a child's not going to get sick.
Right.
Some people say that getting sick is a really, really, really good thing. I'm one of
Right.
those peeps.
Right.
Tell me the most drastic, scariest illnesses that all of your children have had.
Cold.
Is that it? What about
Yeah.
whooping cough? Any whooping cough?
We haven't, and I'm
annoying.
thankful for that. But we've had friends that have, and I'm prepared. I have my arsenal of what would we do if we had whooping cough, and
I mean, a peep sent me a photograph of her baby, very, very little baby who had whooping cough, hospitalised for a week. She said it was petrifying, but guess what?
she's okay.
She's fine.
Right.
And she's back at home.
Right.
Now, I will take a week of being petrified in
Right,
hospital
right.
with my baby, a
Over.
brain damaged 21-year-old who
Right.
wants to watch Thomas the Tank Engine videos. Get a grip, people.
Over and over. My very close friend, like I said, my 16-year-old vaccinated. She's my oldest. All the 5 children after her have never been vaccinated. The very next child is 13, and that she shares the birthday with a friend of mine whose son is 13 and nonverbal. 13 and nonverbal. And I know when you ask her, would you take measles? Would you take whooping cough over not hearing her 13-year-old speak? It's a no-brainer. You know what she would do. You know what they would do. Every person who is trapped in autism hell would take whooping cough over autism hell over a lifetime of their children.
We'd take every single one.
Right.
Okay, I'm not going to get too much into that because it just makes me mad.
Right.
But your children, do they, any of your unvaccinated children have autism?
No.
Do they thrash their head against the wall? And no. Do they line things up and if you take a toy away, scream and headbutt you? So what about something small then? Compared to that, not small compared to the lady that we had before, do they have a few little rashes? No rashes. How about allergies? Everybody has allergies, it's normal. No. See, I rest my case, peeps. I mean, how much more seizures, someone's saying? I mean, their list goes on. How many more times do we need to do this story? How many more does the world need to see? This is the study. Right. This on the bus here. You are a major part of that. You're supposed to be here.
My 16-year-old is still struggling. While she doesn't have autism, thank God, she still struggles. Of all of my children.
Did they have vitamin K, by the way? I never asked you that.
What's that?
The vitamin K.
Yeah, no, they didn't get that either.
Not even that?
No.
Wow.
No, in fact, only one more was born in the hospital. The rest were born at home.
You can do it.
Right. But my 16-year-old she's still my most unhealthy child.
Your oldest child that was vaccinated.
Yes, she still is, she's still so susceptible. She still gets ear infections, and she's 16.
Does she get anxiety?
Yeah.
I mean, ridiculous.
Right.
I'm not talking
I mean,
about
it's very gut related. It's very gut related. All of her issues are, to me, they're very gut related. All of them. And even all of that anxiety and stuff like that. It's very gut related.
And let's just talk about anxiety for a second, people. It is normal as a human being to suffer from anxiety at some point. And you wouldn't be a human being if you didn't suffer from anxiety, whatever that thing is for you. But there's that, and there's this vaccinated anxiety that you see in kids that have even just had one where they can't breathe, they are going to pass out, they need a brown paper bag to be able to breathe in, they're prescribed meds for anxiety. They literally, their world is at an end anxiety. That I have yet to see in the unvaccinated. Do your kids have it? The world is going to end anxiety?
My oldest does struggle the most with anxiety.
And she is vaccinated?
And she is vaccinated.
Okay. So your story is extremely important. You have 5 unvaccinated children that do not have these childhood conditions. So when the press and the media say the science is settled, vaccines do not cause autism, I'm sorry, but the people's science says something totally different, and that is what the people are going with. Amen, sister.
And thanks to God that I'm here.
Now your hubby has got to take a Peeps sweatshirt. He's got to take something.
Okay,
He's got to. Hasn't he, Peeps? The Peeps want him to have something. We're so
I'm so thankful that we were able to be a part of this today.
So thankful. Next time you pray for something, can you not have our bus break down so your prayers are answered? Okay, just say it. Every time this bus breaks down, it's for a reason. There's always
I hope that
a reason.
There's glory in it. There's glory to God every time. So.
Every single time.
Yes.
Okay, Peeps, that was fun.
Well, thank you.
Our RV mender's wife, except when we changed it to RV mechanic because we didn't
I think mender's kind of cute.
That's what we say in England. They say the car needs to go to the menders.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Peeps, there's a new love. And they're thanking you so much for fixing, because this is the people's bus.
Yay!
So thank you so much, and your husband's amazing, and
he's pretty amazing.
Yeah, hang in with us. We need you, and I'm so pleased that you worked out in time for your 6 children.
Yeah.
That vaccines are unsafe and ineffective, and